Frank.
Frank, yes, thank you.
Well, we Can I have your attention, please, gentlemen? Before we get the meeting started, I wanted to say we've got some people on Zoom, so we're recording this, and we're also trying to have a picture and sound for them. So the sound will be up here, and my camera has the sound to pick up the Zoom. And if somebody from the floor wants to say something, then what I need you to do is come here, somewhere around here, Kevin will hand you this mic. Say it so they can hear you as well. Now, we don't have a whole lot of light outside, but I wanted to demonstrate to the alumni one of the new features that we have. Well, maybe too far away. They're not phones. It's on the right table. Excellent. Bottom button. Yeah, I've got the channel. It's channel 3 right now.
You're right. I think they hit it with the volleyball and broke.
The battery's dead.
Why you dancing all down? It worked while ago when I lowered it. There we go.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
There we go.
I wouldn't know for my house.
Okay, let's finish it.
Take the ladder outside.
That's to go.
Hey, boy, I've been looking for that woman cell phone.
Better for it to go out now than later.
Can't hear you, Barry.
I want to call this meeting, the annual meeting of the Lambda Chi Alumni Corporation to order. Glad to see everybody here. First thing I want to do is everybody in the room introduce themselves. I'll start with me, we'll go to Kevin, and then start with Roy, just go around. I'm Barry Forrest. I am the president. I lost the election. I mean, you won appointed when I wasn't at the meeting, but I'm 551.
I'm Kevin Mulder. I'm 855.
Roy Oker, 203.
Mike Mallory, 305.
Jim Albright, 236.
Buster Greg Davis, 259.
Mine is 413.
Warren DeQueen, 139.
Thomas Ballard, 208. Brent Douglas, 422.
Rob Rodell, 723. Wayne Wiggins, 537. John V. Phelps, 245. H.D. Moore, 244. Tyler Higgins, 284. And Zoe, 264. Kay Mejia, 1618.
The last name again?
Yeah.
Last name, please.
Spell
Will Shelby, 1568. High Alpha. Owen Liable, 1557. Austin Cook, 1612. Matthew Tolan, 1575, also a house member. Drew Regal, 1554. Dan Little, 1494. Phil Ball, 1576. Hugh Miller, 1594. Joel Gaffney, 1583. And
Pete Murphy, 710.
Jeff Clayton, I would say 610. Is that everybody in the house? Okay, we have a number of brothers online. I see David Webb.
629.
Say again.
629.
Okay. And Greg Smith
283.
and Landon Cranston
1465.
and Willis Forrester.
Number 57, zooming in from Covington, Georgia, near Atlanta.
Congratulations, you're the only founder here today. And Landon Cranston.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, 1465.
And Jeff Simmons. Jeff has got his.
Simmons has
name
no,
up, but I don't see a picture and he's muted. So Jeff, if you're listening, unmute yourself.
703, he said.
There you go. Well, we're done now. That's all those people online.
All right, I want to thank all of you again for being here. Did all of you get a copy of the minutes for the last meeting? There's a copy over there.
Somebody get them and just pass them around. Run HD, I think.
Everybody would look over the minutes. If you have any questions? I would entertain any questions right now for the minutes for last meeting.
Down, you let me off.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion to approve it.
There's a second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Clayton second. Robert Rodell. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, that passed. Next on the agenda is I'd like to call Kevin Moller up here and to present the Warren Dupuy Alumni Award. Thank you very much.
It is my honor to present the 2021 Warren Dupuy Distinguished Alumnus Award, which goes to who has had an outstanding career, has been active in civic, community, and professional organizations, and has also served as an attorney. It's named for our longtime high five, who is himself one of the most distinguished alumni. Our recipient is Brent Davis, Iota Theta 424. Known by as Chili. Now, I know there's a story behind that. I'd like to hear that one day. But he served at High Beta. He served as High Beta while active and attended the National Conclave in August of 1977. He graduated from Jonesboro High School in 1974, then earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science at Arkansas State University in 1978, and a law degree from the University of Arkansas Fayetteville in 1981. Brent returned in his hometown of Jonesboro. He then practiced law in Jonesboro and became a partner in the firm of Henry, Walden, and Davis, also serving for a time as deputy prosecutor for Farragut County. In 1992, he ran for the office of prosecuting attorney for the 2nd Judicial District, serving in the role for 16 years. During his tenure, he successfully prosecuted to a jury verdict more than 130 homicide cases, including 3 death verdict cases. He is the past president of the Arkansas Prosecuting Attorneys Association. He was elected a circuit judge in 2009 and served until his retirement on December the 31st, after more than 40 years in the legal profession. Brent has been on the House Corporation Board since 2013 and now also serves on the Alumni Corporation Board. Brent is married to the former Terry King, who was a member of Alpha Pi sorority at ASU. He was our Founders Day speaker in 2015. Brent, if you would come forward, I would like to present the Warren Award.
Kevin, y'all hang on just a minute. Warren, stay up there. Let me get one, Kevin. Okay, thank you.
I'll talk long, but I did want to mention it's really an honor to get an award that's named after Warren Dupuy, because when I was in school, if it hadn't been for Warren, not only would I probably not have graduated college, I might have been in a place serving 10 to 40 of life. Warren was not only our inspiration for what we did, but he also was our moral guide. He did the best he could, although he had limited success here sometimes. But it's a great honor to receive this. Lambda Chi Alpha meant so much to me. When I went to law school, I lived with Lambda Chi's, worked with them. When I got out of law school, Tommy Bello was one of the guys that worked with me. Curtis Hill was a Lambda Chi. All through fellow judges in the district for Lambda Chi's. It's just incredible through the course of a career that you have so many people that are from the fraternity that influence your life and make your life enrich it. And if I can do anything to pay it back, I certainly will. Just tickled to death to see it. Thank you.
Before we go any further, I grew up with Brent, and he associated with my brother in Lambda Chi. But I want to tell a little story about Brent. Back when we were starting the High Five for Lambda Chi and starting fundraisers, we had a meeting in Little Rock. Okay, a lot of y'all probably don't know this, but Brent was the prosecutor on the West Memphis 3 case, which made him famous, plus a movie star on the HBO specials. But when they made the judgment on the West Memphis 3. We were riding to Little Rock. Of course, when we're riding to Little Rock with me, there's not much talk because everybody's scared to death because I drive about 90.
Amen.
But there were 6 of us in there. And one of them happened to be our world famous Roy Oakridge, published in the paper. And so Brent's phone is blowing up. Okay. So we all sit there and finally I tell Brent, I said, Brent, either answer the damn phone or turn it off. He said, well, I don't know what to do. And it was CNN and Fox and all the big major news networks on the interview. Well, you know, he was scared to do an interview. Number one, because he didn't know what we'd say. And number 2, he couldn't say anything because Roy was sick. He was scared to death because Roy put it in the damn paper tomorrow. So every time Brent would talk, he'd say, well, we got to do this at the meeting, and Roy, that's off the record. You know? Everything Brent would say would be off the record. So anyway, it was really a great time at that time. We had a great time going to Little Rock. Next on the agenda, we have an election of 3 board members. For y'all that don't know how that works, we were very, very diplomatic about this. We actually put paper in a hat and drew. We either got a 1-year term, 2-year term, or 3-year term. And as lucky as I am, I always draw the 3-year term. But these particular gentlemen drew the 1-year term. So the nominees are Brent Davis, Delane Hogan, and Jeff Simmons. And at this time, I would obtain any other nominations from the floor. If anybody would like to run for the board. Motion's been made. Seconded. Motion that the nomination cease. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any other motion you'd like to make? Okay. Motion been made and seconded by acclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, that went rather well. You guys got 3 years, I only got 2 left.
I go on
Do right. Our next and special reports, we have Mr. Roy Oakert, our treasurer, going to give us a financial report.
Okay, you have a financial report that includes 2 pages, one front and back. If you don't have one in your hand, there are some on the table over there by HC. I'll be referring to that a little bit. Meanwhile, I'll say that trip to Little Rock, where everybody in the world was trying, every journalist in the world was trying to get hold of Brent. Here I am, the editor of the local paper, sitting next to the guy that all the news was trying to get to, and I couldn't ask him anything. And if I had, we were on our way to Little Rock, we weren't going to be back until too late for deadline anyway. That is if we got back.
You've been safely transported all over this stuff.
Okay, for years, we had a house corporation that handled everything, from operation of the house to maintenance to alumni contributions, alumni activities like this weekend, and in later years, communication with our brothers. For legal reasons, in 2020, we split into 2 corporations. One of them is called Lambda Chi Alpha at Arkansas State University, Inc. And that's the one we already had. That's the house corporation. The other one is this one today, LXA at ASU Inc, the alumni. Each has distinctly different purposes, but they're designed to work together for the good of Iota Theta Zeta. Essentially, the house corporation operates and maintains the house. The alumni corporation does everything else, including collect alumni corporate contributions, sponsoring activities, and providing a revenue stream for long-term improvement to the house, among other things. Each has a separate board of directors, although there is some crossover. That's because we don't have enough to go around, and we're always welcome more. No active officers or members, including the high serve on either one of those boards. That was advised by the National Council Lambda Chi Alpha, because the way we had it, everybody was liable for anything that anybody did. So the split was for legal reasons as well as for structure. For now, though, the financial operations are intertwined, and that's probably going to be the way it has to be from now on. Years ago, though, we established separate bank accounts for the various purposes that we do. My reporting for all is on one sheet of paper, and you have a copy of that right now. It's fairly easy to track money that's received and spent for different purposes. This today is a 2-page report. First page is a net worth comparison. It shows our assets, properties, and liabilities at 3 points beginning January 1st, 2020. Our calendar year, by the way, is our fiscal year. 2020 was a historically significant year for us, of course, because we paid off the mortgage. And that's why you see in column 1 that on January 1, 20, we had a liability of about $31,000. Next column, you'll see that it's gone. And our cash flow position has improved greatly. We maintain 3 bank accounts. The one called 50 Founders, which we started in connection with our 50th annual Founders Day a few years ago, is used for strictly alumni purposes, events, activities, communications. That's where the voluntary alumni dues go. The house fund is used for expenses that are related to the operation and routine maintenance of the house, utilities, insurance, housekeeping, various services like our fire security system, termite protection, weed control, that sort of thing. The chapter pays us a certain amount for each month for residents' rent and use of the house. The reserve fund is used for long-term maintenance and improvements, and it serves as an emergency fund in case something big happens, like an air conditioning system goes out, and that has happened. When it happened years ago, we didn't have an emergency fund, so we borrowed more money. Frankly, until the mortgage was paid off, the money we received from rent and use of the house never covered the expenses fully. Alumni contributions had to be tapped for operations, and in times of low contributions, maintenance was neglected. The house got to be in a very sad shape in the early 2000s. Paying off the mortgage, though, has changed that. Now we can balance the house budget, and we can use alumni contributions to make genuine improvements to the house, like some you've seen today. Some of which work and some don't. In November, the House Corporation Board agreed to a list of prioritized projects, and just this week we completed the last round on that list. There are many other needs, though, that we'll begin prioritizing depending on the flow of revenue in the coming months. We do hope to begin renovating and refurnishing residential rooms on the first floor this summer and the fall to improve the alumni room, especially the floor, later the kitchen. There are also some things I'd like to do outside, for example, relighting or decluttering in front of the house. But we are now on a pay-as-you-go system, and that's the way I'd like to keep it. On the back of the front page there is a copy of the most recent monthly report that I gave to the House Board. It shows actual revenue and spending through 3/31, broken into House alumni columns, as well as the budget for 2021. You can see that we've already spent almost everything we had budgeted for maintenance. 2 decks had to be rebuilt entirely, and they were bigger projects than we expected. Thank goodness one of our board directors, Justin Miles, donated material for the big deck, or we would have never been able to finish. This will cut into what we can do for the summer, but remember, we're paying catch up on even routine maintenance. And this house is now over 30 years old, 35 years old. Financially, a strong chapter that meets its obligations and follows the rules and uses the property is critical to our operation. And alumni support is essential for many reasons, including financial. We've seen bad things happen when either of those conditions are lacking. Now, I'll be glad to answer questions that you might have on the financial report. No question? No comment?
No, but I'll make a motion that we accept the financial report as stated by Roy.
Motion's been made, seconded, we accept the financial report by Roy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries.
We'd like to say that, Brother Roy starts all the credit for our situation. That's very accomplishing.
Yes, he does. The next on the agenda is fundraising. That's me. Pretty well, everybody was there last night when we went over everything, so we'll kind of make this short. It is very important that it's very important that each one of you try to contact somebody that you're familiar with. There's two things that we really need right now. We really need email addresses that are current. And secondly, we need people to join the Founders Club. This is our only financial support that we have going right now. And we've kind of backed off fundraising for just a little bit because we've hit everybody really hard for the last 5 years, 6 years. So with the gold and the green and the purple, that's a way every year you can donate, and we can try to keep money flowing. I do have a list here of all that have donated. If you would like to see it after the meeting, I'll show it to you and what level they've donated. Is it over there? Yeah, it is over there.
And we have plaques on the wall up there showing the previous years.
Yeah, previous years, we had the plaques up here that just got put up. Roy did a great job with that too. Thank God Roy is retired, so he can do most of this. And I can remember when we first started this, I'm just gonna kind of hold this up. There was like 4, 5 here, maybe 2 here, and maybe 1 or 2 here. As you can see, each year it grows. And this is what we want to do, okay? We want to build this up to where this will be self-sufficient to help us maintain this house and not be a burden on everybody. And it pretty well breaks it down to where everybody can get, $125, the $250 and the $500. So it makes it pretty easy to give and help support the church. The other thing that we want to kind of do, and this will help with fundraising, is we've already talked to the Vice President, Robbie. We're looking at having an alumni, some kind of little function around Little Rock and Bryan area to get back down there, because we have a tremendous untapped alumni down in that area that know and are special to church, but never been asked or tapped to do that. Brent knows that a lot of them are from his class that are just now to the age where they really financially give and don't have 5 kids. Everything Wicker's not here. Okay. But anyway, we're going to stick with this for a year or 2, and then we'll if we see the need, we'll try to do another fundraising. But we still have a lot of work to do in the house. And the main project that you see is we want to remodel the rooms, so it makes it great, for these kids to live in the house and make it nice enough for them to want to live in the house. Any questions about fundraising? We won't turn down any donations at all. Well, we did some. We won't do it. But anybody have any questions about fundraising? I would like to say that I'm glad to see Mallory and Phelps, y'all, and HT here after the brutal beating y'all took last week. And Roy. I'm glad you didn't remember my name. Every time we did it's so good to see him. So he wouldn't take none of that.
We're gonna carry him out after this meeting to a cemetery and dump him.
I know how to get back to you. That's not the first time.
Roy, that's hazing and we don't talk.
Let me turn it over to Kevin here.
Talk to you a little about mentoring.
So I kind of want to make sure that I put a disclaimer out for the active brothers in the back for what I'm about to say. I do not want you all to think that I'm minimizing anything at all, but I think it's time for us to have, now we have it on Zoom, have a conversation about where our fraternities are going. I think as we all get together and we tell stories about what we did during our college days, and some of you, I'm sure, are glad the statute of limitations to run out. So with those stories and listening to those stories, and we have our own stories, Tommy. So we have those stories that we enjoy telling. We think back to how the world did that. And as most of you know, that our active younger brothers they did have an infraction. The infraction was, and I'll just tell you what, in kind of as vaguely as I can. Basically, they are allowed to have a date with, what I remember, they were drop-ins. Drop-ins were, you had a drop-in with another sorority, and it just went until it finished. It just whatever time. They are limited to from 7 to 10 o'clock. And at 10 o'clock, it shuts down. It's no more. They go home. So they did come back, bring it back to the house, and there was alcohol. So I said that to say, and that's why I said I'm not minimizing what they did. They did violate the rules. But if we had done some of the things, if the things we did, they're not bad guys. And I think when you see that, oh, they violated the rules, I want to make sure that you understand that it's not something that they went out and burned down a building or something just horrific. It's not that they did something like that. It's something that we all understand, and what we did, they would not be allowed to do any of that, or they're not allowed to do it. So before we, judge what they've done, it's hard to tell when you see an infraction, you see, well, they're in trouble. You kind of, you get a better understanding when I'm telling you what they've done versus what you think they may have done, because you're thinking in your mind, which I do, that it's always the worst thing ever. So I said all that to say, our fraternities in general across the United States are under assault. It's not just ASU, it's across the country. I try to stay in contact with office administration and headquarters. It's not just our chapter, but universities have a zero tolerance for rule violence. They have a zero tolerance for that. So with that said, anything they do, they can get into trouble. Anything they do that violates the rules, they can get some type of sanctions placed. The problem when you start seeing is continuous infractions of the rules. When you see, when ASU or any university, doesn't necessarily mean ours, they continually see infraction of the rules, it raises the red flag. So when those flags are raised, then we start seeing other sanctions placed on our chapter, which brings me to my next point. ASU is, I have no clue what sanctions are going to be placed on the fraternity after this week. We still do not know. It's been well over a month. They have not gotten back with us. They have not told us. I'm thinking they'll probably wait till the end of the semester. That way it's out of the way, summer starts. But I do know one of those sanctions is going to be more alumni. Now, I've talked to some of the active officers, and they would like to see more alumni involved. Some of that include, when I say alumni involvement, I try to, and this, some of you know, this last semester, I was not able to, I had a lot of things going. My father was dying. I had a lot of of things going. So I wasn't up here as much as I could be, but I try to be up here as much as I can. But me being up here is not enough in their eyes. In their eyes, they want to see more. And what I mean by more is mentoring. That mentoring goes a long way. And you got to remember these guys are 18 and 19 years old. They're just starting life. And they don't know. For example, I've been in law enforcement for 26 years. During those 26 years, if a new officer starts tomorrow, sometimes you think or expect them to know everything about law enforcement because I've been in it for so long, but I have to step back and think, okay, these officers do not know what experience I have. They do not know what I know. So I need to teach them. And I think that's what we need to do. And that's what I'm pleading to you all. I know that time is precious, and I'm not asking for just 20 hours a month, or I need to be able to take back to ASU some type of mentoring program. And we have that in place, and Roy and P, several of them have done a really good job at helping, but we need more. And I know the ones in the room, most of the ones in the room do an outstanding, everyone in the room does an outstanding job at helping out. And we appreciate that. But I'm asking to go one step further and just get with me and say, hey, I would like to mentor a particular office, or I'd like to mentor, come to the chapter and speak, or something. Show up at a meeting, show up and let them know that you're there for them. And we're at that point where they're demanding. It's becoming a point where it's not going to be an option. And I would like to have an interaction or discussion if you all want to ask any questions. I will be glad to answer them, or what, if any rule infractions or what we're talking about. But membership in fraternities are down. They're not down here. They are not down. We are the largest on campus. These guys do a lot of great things. And that when they get in trouble, all that what they did overshadows what they've done. And that's what's aggravating to me, because I know what they've done. I know what they do. I know they raise money. They do a lot of good things. So it aggravates me that it overshadows. Unfortunately, that's the day we live in. It is overshadowed. So I think that we have a strong foundation. Yes, maybe 3% need to go. I'm just being frank about that. And we can do that. And I think that's coming, and that's something we're going to have to do. But we have a set of brothers who are in place who can take this fraternity and be the best that it can be on campus. But they also need our help. So I would appreciate that. But please ask any questions.
Are there other fraternities on campus that are remaining sanctions below now?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, their confidentiality rules, we do not know what for. I do know that next door that, and some of you guys can help me on this, they lost their rush class for 2 years or 1 year? Two. They lost their rush class for 2 years. That was for a hazing incident. Pike is on probation for this. I've been told that. I cannot answer to what they are being on probation. Do you all know? Yeah. I mean, what do you know what for? Okay, so they are on probation as well. Hazing, okay. That's not something that we have any issues with, hazing, but that's one of the things. They are being, all of them right now. Any other attorneys on probation? Y'all know of? Okay.
I'm sure ADR probably do. Yeah, they're in the same boat.
So they're all going up and down. They're all going, we'll get off probation, then we get back on probation. So they all are being held.
Somebody else have a question back at HT, you want to hand that back to me?
Yeah, CHD, that meeting, right?
This is Roy.
Yes, Mr. Dupuy. This is the time where we can step up with alumni and do something to prevent what is really a bitter pill if you have to get into it. That's the alumni control. Some of us have been through this multiple times. It's not something that I want to see us have to do again, but I think the way to do it is go ahead. while we don't have an official alumni control board, we do have someone who is specifically assigned to go agree to mentor a specific office. We've done this a couple of times in times past. Which last year was kind of a tough year. Nobody was good to get together with anybody. Anything. Now, there's two sides to that. I did that for a number of years with Ohio, the risk management person. And three of the guys that I was supposed to work with, they called, they had questions, they were available if we needed to meet with them, and vice versa. One guy I never heard from, I should say. So I think if we do this, we agree to make a commitment to give our time to do those things. We want to be sure that whoever we're working with stays in touch with us. It's so easy, you don't have to be face to face, with text and everything else you can do. But if something comes up that you got any question all about, that you contact me, whether it's your high beta, high alpha, high gamma, high tau, any of those things, because there are people who can give you assistance. The other thing that Kevin mentioned, that the reason some of the attorneys are on more strict probation or suspension, wherever they are, is the haste issue. And I can't emphasize enough how easy it is for somebody to think that something's funny and someone's not going to know about this if we pull a stunt. Now, that's how we almost lost a charter in 2005. Hazing had been gone, it snuck back in, and before we knew anything about it, we were almost off campus. And then it popped up again a few years later. It's something I think too many people watch Animal House or whatever else and say, hey, that sounds like a fun idea. We joke about some of the things we did. Some of the things that we did in school, now they're not allowed. So if you even think it looks like hazing, if you're even questioning, if you have to think, is this right or wrong? Don't do it. If you see somebody about to do it, tell them not to. If someone does it anyway, self-report, put them on suspension, expel them, do whatever you have to do so you can take the action before somebody else has to. It's just not worth risking. What are we up to? Almost 1,500 brothers?
1,600.
Okay. It's not risky those 1,600 brothers not to have a place they can call Lambda Chi Alpha at Arkansas State University because you did something stupid. Simple as that. Thanks.
Every time you ask me to come back and speak, I'm always glad to do that. And I'm glad you mentioned mentoring today, but my question is to you, Paul. What do you need from me? What do you need from us? And it may not be something that you're ready to answer right now, but in your mind, what is that mentoring need that you have? And so if you have some ideas right now, I'm sure we would all love to hear them, because we can get together once a year and talk about it, and it can go for a day, a week, or a month, and then we all get back into our lives. But if you need something from us, just like HT said, that communication stream is two ways. We can offer, but you've got to accept, and you can ask, and we will respond. You know we will respond, because we have zero debt on this house. And it wasn't that way when these gentlemen were here, and it wasn't that way when I was here. Didn't have a paid parking lot. I could go on and on, and I'm not. You guys live in a different world. The scrutiny that's placed upon you, the optics of what you do, and everything that you say, whether it's in this room or whether it's on that phone, doesn't go away. Everything, you live in a world, you've grown up in a world where everything is recorded and it doesn't go away. And every year you see somebody being affected for something they did when they were 14, when they were 12, certainly when they were 16. People losing their job, people losing draft stats in the NFL because of something stupid they said or put online when they were 14 years old. While the question of whether that is fair or not is out the door, because that is the question that's always going to be asked. And so I challenge you. I will answer the call when asked, but I need to know what it is that you need. These gentlemen need to know, what is it that you need that we can do to help? Because the money now, situation's taking care of itself. So now let's move into that next step. You may have
questions you want to speak to me in private about, and I'm trying to do that. You know, over the last few years, a lot of the guys had my cell phone number. They would question me, and someone wants to go to law school, or someone wants to ask a question about this, and I've always responded. I've never left a brother hanging, and I won't ever do that because there are several men in this room who didn't leave me hanging. So that's a responsibility that I owe, and that's a responsibility that you will owe. And so again, I just ask, let us know what you need. What helps you?
Thank you. Real quick, when another question. There are other ways for alumni to do, but now we have Zoom, we have a simple call. So if you do live off or away, you can do Zoom. There's another thing I did not mention that we are facing, and Tommy kind of hit on the technology or the things we didn't have to deal with, phones. That now they have created a page where any person can go on and report an infraction to the university. I went to 3 in one semester, and all 3 we were found not responsible. But basically what happened after that, and this is a lot of Barry's credit on. We got all the advisors got together and we had a discussion and said, look, we've got to stop. Basically what they were doing is turning each other in. Some of them were turning each other in and had that ability to do that anonymously. You have no idea who turned you in. So then they were doing it not out of more or less being vindictive or whatever you want to call it. So we were found not responsible for all 3 of those because it didn't happen. So all the advisors got together and said, hey, we need to come together and stop. We need to unite and keep that. And I think our president, Will Scobie, has a great working relationship with our next door president. So to keep that from happening, we haven't seen that. So that has helped a lot too as well. Someone else have it? Yes.
I think one of the things that would be helpful with alumni like myself, I was talking to HT last night and I said, so how many athletes we got there? And he explained that we don't have athletes anymore or any of the reasons for that. I didn't know that, so I've learned something I didn't know. I think it'd be good for the alumni to know more, like when you publish, like whoever you are, something, if you're an officer, that sort of thing. But I'd like to see when it prints your name, print what you majored in. I wish we knew more about the identity of the attorney as it's composed right now. And it's interesting to me. I look around here at all these lawyers in the room. My law partner and I now have 3 lawsuits over here. I'll do anything for anybody that wants to go to law school. So come talk to me. You need to have alumni out there. I didn't know. I know. The judges know the ratings, they're, you got to get this. So there is a but anyway, we'll do things for you like that. I'm not much a fan of dropping it up here some night when y'all have an attorney meeting, expecting her head to turn to me and be amazed out here, have me on the back and say, my God, we stopped here. They talk to you. So I'm with that. We want to help you. I mean, but here's the problem. I don't do everything bad we did in college. I really don't. You would not do it. Well, that's true. We were going to be party with that. That's how I am. And they did. We had a big party off campus. They all came to it. That's how they do it. That's what you're on. You got to. Sometimes, my album's got to be live. So but I think y'all are doing fine. I'm really impressed with everybody last night. Archie, my guy that's not lost it. I was in college, best saxophone player in Bill Street or Hale. Told me last night, he said, did you see how nice all those guys look after last night? I said, yeah, he said, I just noticed it. I
So they seem so short. I mean, we got big tall guys, because we had basketball players, but you guys just sort of. I think your chapter just feel like, I don't think I would have been very much if I had been as a parent. I really don't. And my wife's president of Common-Egg, I was president of Lambda Chi. Back in those days, it just meant so much to be that type of person. And I feel a closeness to each one of you guys. I really do. So don't hesitate to call us. But, you know, I don't know what we can do. I don't know what you want us to do, but I'll do it. You know, except I don't want to be on any boards, and I don't want to have to keep up with money. I'm not good at math, you know. And but I'm supposed to be out there with everything. There's Warren Duquesne. When I came over here to practice law, I had to take a bar exam in Arkansas. He wrote a letter to the bar committee. He said, "I know John Phelps. He's got high morals because I've seen him all over the place." Let me take it anyway.
I will be sending out an email to, any of you are interested in, I will send out an email, and I will try to have a meeting in the near future, sometime in the summer, to get a game plan. We should know more from the university. I do know from headquarters, they have told me that they are requesting, that they're outlining a plan of how we can get alumni involved. So I'll know more. I just kind of wanted to kind of give you an idea of what's happening, what's going on, and what is about to. So when you see this email, you'll kind of have an idea. But like I said, I appreciate each one of you, and I appreciate all you do. And if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. Thank you. So,
If you had a formal motion from the Alumni Association saying that we will support whatever the university wants in the memory program, our alumni board and membership has committed to assist you with that.
that would help. Yes, yes.
I saw move.
Thank you.
Now repeat what you said,
That the Alumni Association membership have voted to assist the chapter in whatever memory program the university might suggest, even work with the university and helping create that program.
Thank you.
I'm not going to write that out.
Yeah, write it for me and just email it.
Anyone online, would you like to say anything?
Could they hear?
Can you hear me?
Before we go any further, we have a motion on the floor, boy, and a second to approve the amendment drawn up by the resolution, I'm sorry. All in favor of that, say aye. Those opposed. Okay, motion carries.
Sure.
So one of the things that I'm going to stand up, and I'm short, John. I must have started it back in the 80s. My son's tall, for what it's worth. So one of the things I want to stress to you guys, I had mentors when I was here, when I'm Warren was HT, and you won't find better gentlemen than these guys. Warren reminded me of a story last night. My girlfriend had dumped me. I think I was a high beta or high alpha or something. I was distraught, you know. And Warren, I forgot, but we were out in the back. He was sitting in my truck with me talking. He must have talked me off the ledge or something, but it was a great, it's a great thing. And then one of the things that I'm proud of, when I joined the fraternity, we were still in the suite. And so my class was the first one to actually be in the house of new brothers. And so we were all so proud of this. And Pete was there too. Pete was there too. And so we were so proud of everything. And we started some great things. And as Kevin was saying, one of the things that I did when I became an officer, we kicked some people out. We cleared out some trash, because you have to be careful with that, because they can really weigh you down. You know, it's a brotherly thing to do, to address each other. You can look in the Bible, those of you that are theology people, and that's a Christian thing to do. The thing you don't do is let somebody continue to just hurt everybody else, because it can ruin a good thing. You know, I've got friends that were Teeks here, and I know they're trying to reestablish, but that used to be a great fraternity here on campus, and they demolished themselves. So that's what we don't want to happen here, and I know that's what Tommy and everybody else is saying. I'm proud of this fraternity. I'm proud to contribute. I'm proud of each of you guys. And as everybody's been saying, I've had Lambda guys throughout my life that have helped me at different points in time. It's just a magic thing, because you just look at somebody, even if they're not from this chapter. Like when I'm out traveling all over the state, I'll say something and they'll be like, oh yeah. And it's just like a key that opens doors left and right. So anyway, want to help you guys any way we can. I certainly appreciate all the gentlemen that have heads full of hair, more than me, that are still around here today and everything else. But I just want to stress to you how important that mentorship thing is. It really does work. I promise it does.
Thank you. Anyone online? Zoom?
The key is getting more alumni involved. I think every chapter has got that same issue.
Hold on just a second. Can you start over?
Okay.
Go ahead.
The key thing is getting more alumni involved with the chapter. You know, as during with the coronavirus, what's going on, A-State's very fortunate because you have so many alumni that live in the area. Like at Mississippi State, you only have 3 that live in Starkville. The rest of them live in Dallas, Memphis, Charlotte, or Nashville. And getting alumni involved is very key to helping the brothers, to mentor them, and helping them to grow and helping them in making the right type of the right choices. So if anybody's not involved, really try to get them involved with the chapter.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. Like I said, if I can do anything for any of you, let me know. Like I said, these guys have a lot of potential and they can do a lot of great things. If you ever do, you go back and look at some of the introductions they made at the beginning of last semester, it kind of gives you an idea what degrees they're seeking. They're smart guys. They really are a good group. Thank you.
Come to this point, Will, would you like to come up and say something? Will Scobie, he's high alpha of the chapter. And I guess they just opened the lost doors for you there.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty long.
Yeah. Seriously, good. I mean, it's not bad. I've already met most of you guys, but for those of you that haven't, my name is Will Scobie. Like I said, I'm the high alpha pre-law major out of Corning, Arkansas. And, you know, Kevin kind of alluded to it a little bit, but the past 2 semesters really for us, we've been kind of waging a war on 2 fronts where we're trying to keep both the school happy, watching ourselves at every turn of the way with them. And we've been kind of struggling also with being able to put on events and do things in the pandemic. However, I have here on my phone just kind of a list of highlights and kind of a best of the past 2 semesters, some of the things we've done. So for starters, despite Rush being completely online, completely virtual last year, we still managed to pull in the biggest Rush class out of any of the fraternities here. We initiated 19 guys in the spring. I served as the new member educator, and I can confidently say that the fall 20 class, they're going to have this fraternity on the right track for years to come. They're a good group of guys. They've got their heads on straight, and I think they're going to do great things for this place. We had our annual cream of the crop philanthropy last semester, which I don't know how long we've been doing that here. It's basically a week long. So a long time. And we were worried we wouldn't be able to do it last year. We were worried we wouldn't be able to do it last year because of the pandemic and everything. And it's just such a large event in terms of numbers and story involvement. However, Owen Lible, who's sitting back there on the couch, was our theta last year. He worked like an absolute madman and was able to get us the football stadium to put on cream of the crop. So we were able to host philanthropy in the football stadium, which I can't think of in my time. Any other fraternity or sorority that's been able to do an event like that, that type of venue, I believe, Owen, you said we raised over 25,000 pounds of food in America, which in and of itself is amazing. In the 3 years that I've been here, we've raised over 100,000 pounds of food for Feeding America just through Cream of the Crop. We have 3 members of Lambda Chi currently serving on the Arkansas State Interfraternity Council. We have 7 Lambda Chi serving as pack leaders, which for those of you who don't know, it is essentially whenever there are new student orientations or whatever events put on by the school, the pack leaders are the guys there in the A-State polos, kind of showing everybody the ropes, taking groups around. So to have 7 Lambda Chi's serve as pack leaders, that's incredible for us. Say something.
It was bringing up, it's 7 is a great number, but it kind of speaks more volume. 20 total pack leaders and only 10 guys, 7 guys.
Exactly. So involvement with the school has been great. Owen actually just got done serving on an SGA ticket with the president. You know, in terms of involvement, we've been doing great on campus despite everything that's been going on. We've had members plugging themselves into leadership positions across campus, staying involved, staying active. Our own Tyler Hickman is the president of the Interfraternity Council, which goes a long way in making sure we're informed and being able to run. Now, in terms of what we've done so far this semester, like Kevin said, we've been awaiting a verdict from the school for over a month and a half now, which has been an uphill battle in and of itself. But despite that, we were able to host a Freedom Run 5K at the beginning of the semester for Mission 22. Mission 22 is a philanthropy that works with veterans dealing with PTSD and essentially just kind of works to raise funds to provide them with therapy and counseling, whatever else they need. We raised over $2,100 for that. We had how many people sign up? Here, but I believe we had close to 100 people sign up. We had a state representative come by and make an appearance and talk, which was really cool for raising awareness of the event and getting some more donations after the event. We hosted a can pickup with Alpha Gam. We posted up with members of Alpha Gam in front of a couple of Bill's Fresh Markets locations here in Jonesboro, passed out flyers, essentially just said, hey, if you want to donate, here's a list of what we need. If you want to pick it up while you're in there, you can just drop it off with us when you leave. And we, I believe, worked for 5 hours just doing shifts, and we raised over 1,000 pounds of food, again, for the A-State Food Pantry. We had over 500 total hours of community service before the month of April as a chapter. And we were planning on doing our first watermelon bus in years, but we were unable to do so because of the ongoing sanctions with the school and not knowing where we stand with them. We have a 3.2 GPA as of right now, which is the highest I've seen it since I got here. We have, well, that's all I got in terms of just tangible numbers and like actual statistics. But I will say, I have not, in the 3 years I've been here, I have not seen an officer corps and a chapter-wide group of guys work as hard and as tirelessly as we have over the past year to get over some of the hurdles we've been faced with. You know, I've heard quite a few of y'all mention it and say stuff about it, but it really is more different today with the pandemic, with the scrutiny of the school being viewed in the way that we are by the school. It's just, there's really not a lot of margin for error, and there's a whole lot more hurdles and hoops we have to jump through now to be able to do stuff and be able to put stuff on for this chapter. But for the most part, since we've been in this situation, I've heard less complaining and more questions, more like, okay, we got to have all of these forms filled out. We've got to have social distancing in place. So what can we do to put this event on? It hasn't been, there really hasn't been an era of tucking our tail between our legs and just rolling with the punches and saying, well, things suck right now. What can we do? It's been, okay, things suck right now. What can we do to put stuff on and make stuff happen? Like I said, as a chapter, I feel like everyone's really come together in this time, been able to put on events, been able to stay active, stay involved on campus, keep our grades up, keep bringing in new guys, keep educating new guys and initiating new guys. And so, you know, I don't know what sanctions the school are going to impose on us, but I know with Kevin's help, all of y'all's help. Now, I know
y'all are kind of asking Tommy about like, what can y'all do? What help do we need? And I really think at the end of the day, the most important thing is, a lot of the stuff we're going to hear from y'all will just have much more of an impact than it would come from the school, come from nationals or whoever, because, at the end of the day, despite y'all's long careers and however many years it's been since you've been here, it doesn't matter because y'all are still our brothers. And so it goes a lot further with the chapter, with the officers being able to have those measures of accountability and responsibility from our brothers, like not members from nationals who are Lambda Chi's, not members from the school, but members of the Iota Theta Zeta. And I think moving forward, we're not exactly sure what situation we're going to be in, what kind of sanctions they're going to impose, but with y'all's help, we will get through them. And I think it comes down to having that involvement, maybe having the speaker come to chapter every week. There's enough of y'all wanting to get involved, which is awesome, that we could just do something as simple as that. Just once a week, have somebody come to chapter, speak a little bit about their experiences with the fraternity, what they got into when they were here, and just what we need to do as a chapter to keep that legacy alive. Because I think no matter what is going on with the school or the pandemic, we are at the end of the day committed to keeping this chapter alive and keeping Lambda Chi Alpha in the glory that it deserves. Like I said, we've had a hard go of it this last year, but I believe that this chapter has really come together and unified and worked hard to make sure we're still able to do some of the things we need to do.
Brother, I was just going to tell you that he's going to make an excellent lawyer and probably a really good politician, because based on the shirt he's wearing, he knows how to pander to his audience.
I thought that was politically incorrect. I'm worried about that.
It is now, but I won't tell you.
I'll let you work.
We're gonna try to pizza here.
We hadn't seen the pizza, have we?
No.
No pizza yet.
I've been looking forward to it. That guy's told to do, but, there's one thing that I've needed to do, and I've never had him here to do it, and that's Brother Phelps. Long time ago, he was a speaker, just like you.
No,
And it happened right here. And I think it was probably the first time Roy had ever been back when John Phelps spoke. But John, we actually didn't hire that heckler that was in the crowd. And I want to apologize to you. I never had an opportunity in front of anybody that back then there weren't an alumni group. It was me doing most of it. Brother John agreed to do it. And we had one brother that was kind of intoxicated and kind of helped John with the speech the whole time. But Brother John, I would like to extend my apology for that. Absolutely. I want to turn it over. Hey, but I thought you might have learned a lesson from that. With Buster, you could have hired a heckler a little bit. I will turn it over to Roy.
I don't understand this new modern thing that's going on. That the problem with this, with the hazing, and because John and HT were here on, and they were members when I was pledged. Is there a statute of limitations?
Yes, there is. Thank God. Thank God. I was shaking last night when Kelly Danvers walked in, thinking about some of the stuff we did. And then Brother Dupuy told me there was a statute of limitations that wore out. So, well, never mind. I'm gonna turn it over to Roy.
Okay, you've got some announcements that are rather vague on the sheet, the agenda sheet. Initiation is May 1st. Do we know what time?
I believe at 8 a.m. Justin's not here right now. I think he has work, but he wants to start pretty early. It is
8 a.m. Saturday, right? Like next Saturday.
Yes, sir.
You guys can get up at 8 a.m.
Yes, we'll try. For initiation, it's been long break from that class.
And we have, how many do we think will be ready?
We'll be initiating 4.
4
Yes, sir.
should be ready to be initiated Saturday. It is always good to have alumni here, even if you can't be here for the whole thing. So come and join in the fun. Homecoming, I don't know the date. Do you know a date?
It is gonna be November 6th, the Appalachian State.
Okay, well, there were only two possibilities, and that's what I saw, but I haven't seen the announcement.
I got something from the Alumni Association, or one of the boards, Rebel Foundation committee that was announced to be on that day. Latest, I think it's the latest homecoming ever been.
So, yeah, I don't remember one in November, but November 6th will be homecoming. I expect that the Alumni Corporation will sponsor a tent. And we'll find Nick to cook. So, you're gonna take care of that, right?
It's either Nick or you.
It'll either be Nick or Barry or both.
Nick will be there.
Nick said last week he would be there. He sold his restaurant. He was still,
You know, he sold that restaurant about 6 times.
Well, the most entertaining we can have is Nick and Barry talking to each other in their respective tongues.
They were always talking like that. It's just
Last year, we had a work day. We tried to have it in June, but things were a little bit difficult to do anything in June. We did have it in August. We had 30 guys participating, I think. We accomplished a lot.
Let's do it again.
We're going to do it again. We're going to do it hopefully in June this year before it gets too hot. And it will be an active alumni work day. It's good for us to get together and do things. We've got limited talents in some respects as to hammering nails, sawing things and whatnot. But we can do a lot of good for the house, and we'll have a lunch and so forth. And finally, we're supposed to have pizza at 11:30, and I may have to call Papa John's to see where they are. But we will have pizza shortly. And Joel, we have drinks. They're in the alumni room. Okay. Meanwhile, just have fun and Pete needs to talk. Hang on just a minute.
Oh, we got the pizza.
Pizza's over here.
Pizza's there. Hey, we're giving you a tour.
Sorry, just real quick, for you guys, alumni especially, I just want some feedback. You know, a lot of times you go to these, you go to a conference somewhere and they give you a little thing at the end, kind of survey to tell us how we did, that kind of thing. I just would like some feedback. Number one, me personally, I thought it was kind of neat to do our banquet on a Friday night and this meeting on a Saturday morning, as opposed to doing this on a Saturday morning, the banquet Saturday night. You got 6 hours during the day. You got to try to find something or whatever. Did you guys like this? Was it handier to be able to come in on Friday and do this on Friday night, spend the night, get up Saturday, come do this, and then you're free to go and do your thing? Or maybe next time they can figure out how to do a golf tournament or something.
Yeah, some of us like to play golf on Saturday.
Well, and that's fine, but I'm just saying, the Friday night, Saturday morning, did you like that? I mean, I think that's something we could probably run with.
Hey, Pete, if I can speak on that, I know it was kind of tough.
Hold on, Landon.
All right.
Go ahead.
I know it was kind of tough this year for a lot of guys in my group, especially those of us that live in Central Arkansas, to make it up to the banquet at 7 on Friday night. And I guess that's just us being younger and, just starting out and not being able to always take off, the Friday afternoon. So I do think that could potentially hinder some people who live further off from being able to participate in the banquet. So that's just kind of, but I know it was crazy this year and things just had to fall that way, but that's kind of my my thought
Thank
on that.
you. Anybody else? I just want to get some feedback. I thought it worked well, but I didn't have to come from Central Arkansas, obviously.
How about the convention center? Everybody like?
Yeah, the venue was really good, I thought. Food was good. I thought my little shop was excellent. Yeah, perfect. All right, thank you. Oh, so our next speaker has to bring their own drink.
I told him that already.
Anything else to be brought before the Alumni Corporation for the annual meeting? Anybody online?
Yeah, I'd like to just say hello to everyone, and I happened to think while we were in on this call that this spring it was 60 years ago that I graduated from Arkansas State, and I really haven't lived in Arkansas since the early 70s, but I guarantee you I've still got some of that Mississippi County dirt underneath my toenails, and it'll always be there. Just like the time that I had with the Lambda Chi chapter when I was at Arkansas State. I don't see many familiar faces there in the crowd, but I do see you, of course, and Roy and Warren Dupree and H.D. Moore. So those memories from those days, they're fewer and fewer of us in my generation, but it's always a treat to participate in anything that I can when the chapter gets together. I would rather have been there this year in person as I was 2 years ago, but just didn't work out this year. But I want to thank all of you guys for keeping the alumni group going and keeping us in touch with each other, and especially with the pandemic, being able to participate remotely by the Zoom program. So thanks again. It was good to see you guys, even though I'm not really there in person.
It's good to have you on Zoom.
Let me say one thing, Barry.
One thing.
Greg Smith is not online anymore, but he was earlier. Greg found out earlier this week that he has leukemia. And so he started treatment. Greg has always been here for Founders Day, if I can remember, and even when he was driving from Florida. So keep him in your prayers and send him good wishes.
Well, he is also Mississippi State.
Yes. Yes. And we won't bring Mississippi State up again. I have ties down there too. Anything else be brought before the alumni annual meeting? If not, I turn the motion that we adjourn. So motion's been made and seconded that we adjourn. So we are official. Did you have something? I second. Okay, second. But we officially adjourned for pizza.